Okay. So the first thing was today we are going to cover two three topics, and this is the special issues topics which we are going to cover from the exam point of view. Here we will learn first thing is like economic profit and accounting profit. When we say the economic profit, we consider both kind of cost, whether implicit or explicit. What do you mean by implicit and explicit? Explicit where the cash outflow is involved. When we say the implicit you don't need to pay any cost, so it is like a opportunity cost. So economic profit is just for the decision making. When I say the accounting profit, it is as per the gap or IFRS. Say, then second is like earning quality. So earning quality is talking about what? It is the analysis of the earning quality, identify the results of management choice on the financial statement and the judgment of management motivations, proportionate attitudes, basic factors based on which you can say that okay, this quality, this report, this earning is reported, which is a quality earning. It is not like it's like quality earnings. So what are the factors to be there in the quality earning? The first thing they say that the selection of the accounting principle. It means when you are selecting the accounting principle from the point of view of the reporting, you have the option, you have the choice to select other accounting measure. You can be less conservative, you can be higher conservative. But if you are just following the basic conservative approach of the financial reporting, that gives that there is no chances, less likely to overstate the income, and that will ensure the quality of the earning also. There is another item of balance sheet financing and its effect on the financial. Off balance sheet financial does not denotes the various type of transactions through which the firm is able to use the resources without showing either the asset or the corresponding liability on the balance sheet. By lowering the debt to equity ratio or debt to the asset ratio, the firm effectively reduces the cost of capital, thereby corresponding interest expenses. Some of these methods are within the permissible domain as per the FASB. However, the sum may be eliminated under the international reporting standard regulation. So, in that case, what is actually they wanted to serve? There is a case for the capital lease. You may have there is a two type of lease. One is the operating lease, the other is the financing lease or capital lease. So, financing lease, what is there? Generally, financing lease, you are getting some asset for the long time using. You have the option not to show as the asset in the and the balance sheet as well as the liability, but at the same time you have to pay the every time you are paying the rentals and all. So selections whether you should show that asset in the balance sheet or no, that actually impacting your quality of earning. So it is saying that when you see the quality of earning of a basic of a business of a corporate, in that case you have to see also if there is any financial lease also, because financial lease is generally for the longer period. So company will have the longer liability to pay, longer obligation to pay the rentals. That's why IFRS now says that okay, you record this lease asset leased asset as assets into the balance sheet and corresponding liability. So the people who will take over the business or the stakeholder who will read the financial statement, they can understand that this business has some obligation in future, or this asset is actually the leased asset. So that is the reason now IFRS asking the people to show that leased asset into the balance sheet. The third is the provision of maintenance of assets and the future earning power. The management can put off discretionary expenses such as the repair, maintenance, advertisement, research and development to show the higher earning. However, the action may result in deteriorations of the asset and negative effects on the earning for the long term. The actually this same line, there was a case where the I can just tell you a small case. What happened? There was a company who has a two departments, and generally the department's performance was uh, measures based on the return on assets held by that return on assets held by that units. So there was a case where the A is A's assets was not in good condition and that will not last for long period, but still they are not spending. A division manager is not spending any income to do the repair or to do some capital enhancement in the asset, so that he has that he was thinking that if he do the expenses, his net profit will, his ROI will get reduced and he will not get the incentive. So in that case, the company's managers comes to him and he says that no, overall the future's earning capacity you are reducing just to save your present ROI, your present increments, or you can say the present benefits. सो ये क्या होता है, क्वालिटी ऑफ अर्निंग में ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, बिकॉज अभी आप क्या करते हो अपने शेयर होल्डर्स को, यू वांट टू शो द हायर प्रॉफिट, तो आप क्या करोगे, रिपेयर का खर्चा जो है फ्यूचर में आप उसको डाल दोगे. सो क्या होगा, अभी नाउ करंट ईयर में योर प्रॉफिट विल शो हाई एंड स्टेक होल्डर विल बी हैप्पी, बट लॉन्ग रन में क्या होगा कि आपका वो एसेट खराब हो जाएगा एंड इट विल कॉस्ट more. That's why they are saying when you see the quality income, you have to think of this also, because then only you can ensure the quality income to the shareholder. The, the, effect, the effects of economic forces on earning. The management efforts can work to minimize the effects of business cycle on the stability of resources and variability of earnings, because the variability of earning is undesirable. So higher variability indicates the lower quality of earning. So businesses also have to decide where to invest the money so that a stable income, yes, sustainability should be there. तो इसमें क्या होता है, इससे उनकी क्वालिटी ऑफ अर्निंग्स इंश्योर होती है. तो व्हेन यू से द क्वालिटी, इट्स नेवर मींस दैट हायर अर्निंग, इट्स मींस दैट स्टेबल अर्निंग and no major loss. Now here the example is earning persistence. The earning persistence is a measure how well current earning predict the future earning, yani trends of the earning. So generally when see the quality earning, they are talking about how this will sustain for long. So these are the points which actually covers as a quality earning, and these factors, when you are ensuring okay these companies earnings are quality, or this company's earning are the quality earning, you have to ensure all these 3-4 points. Based on that you can say that okay now this company is actually working in a professional way, so that his income will not be like higher or lower immediately. Book value per share is this quite formula basis, just what is say book value per common share. So when you see the balance sheet of the asset, balance sheet of a business, so balance sheet में क्या लिखा हुआ है, total equities minus preferred equities divide by number of common outstanding shares. So here the example, the company owns the 10 million shareholders equity, 500 par value of the preference shares. So 9 millions is shareholders outstanding. So what is the book value per share? The book value per share is 10 million minus 500,000, that is for the preferentials. So preferentials, you are preferred equity you are removing, any preference shares you are removing, and then what is the left, 9.5 million divided by 9. So earning book value per share is, yeah, book price per share is how much, 1.06 against the market value. Market value is simply जो शेयर मार्केट में ट्रेड होता है, that is the market value. But how you will calculate, so you will calculate the market stock price divide by, no, this is just a ratio, market to book ratio. So this ratio is market to book ratio. So first you will take the market price per shares divided by book value per shares. Simple a formula. The second is price earning ratio. The price earning ratio is like price MPS divided by EPS. This is the formula, MPS divided by EPS. That is called the PE ratio, price by earning. So when you say the price is actually the market price. So the other is yield. Yield is from the investor's perspective. Earning is from the investor's perspective. So what he is saying, earning per share divided by market price per share. Earning per share divided by market price per shares, that is the formula for that. Yield. There is another formula is also 1 by PE ratio. 1 by PE ratio. 1 by PE ratio is also called yield ratio. Now there is a third topic called effect of changing price and inflation. So how the impact is there, just to understand with the example. So inflation is important considerations analyzing the financial statement. The statements are usually based on the historical, so not adjusted for the effect of inflation. Typically, the sales revenue of the company increases over the year, that we are not taking the effects of inflation. So we need to take. So although the United States, the inflation is relatively subdued over the past several years. During the 1970, when the US economy was highly inflationary, the FSAB required the separate note on the financial statement to calculate the effect of inflation. The requirement was discontinued mid-80 and the inflation has subsidized. And the profession was the opinion that the marginal cost of providing the additional information exceeded the marginal benefit. In future, however, such requirement would be reinstated in the period of high inflation when the marginal benefit of the information to the users and the marginal and the financial statement exceed the marginal cost to the company. सिंपली बात यह है कि इन्फ्लेशन को एडजस्टमेंट करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज हमारा जो भी हम रिपोर्ट्स बनाते हैं या सेल्स करते हैं वो हमेशा हमेशा हिस्टोरिकल कॉस्ट पे होता है, सो वी हैव टू एडजस्ट इट. So how it is being adjusted, just see here. So ये बोलता है कि firm in the country which high inflation analyze the effect of inflation could be incorporated using the horizontal or trend analysis. Calculate the rate in term of base years. Example, inflation is 10%. When the sales of amount is successive year would be divided by 1.1, 1.21 so on. यानी 10% का inflation है, तो टेक्निकली जो इस साल में 100 lakhs का है, नेक्स्ट ईयर में 110 हो जाएगा, उसके बाद 121 हो जाएगा. Now if you want to know the correct figures based on current value, so you have to divide the next year figure by 1.1 and subsequent period by 1.21. तो इसमें क्या होता है, then you can bring at the same level for the comparison purpose. Okay, so when you want to calculate for the second year, then you have to do the sales divided by 1 plus inflations. Then for the third year, 1 plus inflation power 2, because this is the 1.21 is what, 1.1 multiplied by 1.1, that is the results. That's the results comes as a 1.21. So it means when you do the financials reporting, you have to adjust the inflation also. These are the miscellaneous topics. Okay, the fair value standard. The fair value in the financial reporting generate the more timely information when compared to the cost-based reporting. This is happen when some assets you need to like when you report your what is called capital asset like shares or any investment, you generally report as a current value, whatever the unrealized income you transferred into the income statement. So that's in that reporting we are actually following the fair value methods. So financial accounting standard 157 defines the fair value and establishes a framework for measuring the fair value uniformly the various assets and according an accounting treatment. The fair value measurements assume that the asset liabilities exchange in orderly transactions between the market participant on the measurement date. तो जिस दिन ट्रांसफर होता है उस दिन के डेट पे उसे वैल्यू करते हैं. So if you see from the investment perspective, we do it in our normal financial reporting. Whatever the realized or whatever the unrealized profit or loss, we do the accounting in the books. So there is a three way to determine the fair value. One is the market approach, uses the prices generated by the transaction involve the identical or comparable assets. Second is income approach, use the valuation techniques to convert into the future value to single discounted present value. And third is the cost approach based on the replacement value of the assets. Whatever you want to record into the asset, this is the third method. What actually you do and check what is the replacement value of the asset, and you do the adjustment based on that. So to increase the consistency and comparabilities in the fair value measurement, the fair value hierarchy is created to prioritize the input to the valuation techniques to determine the fair value with the highest priority. The first one, quoted price in the activity market, that is the first market approach. Second is the indirectly determined from the value of related assets. Okay, that, and the third is unabsorbable input, yani ke last priorities hai, there is no such kind of thing. So this is the disclosure in the financial has to be included at the classification of asset of these into the of these categories. So simple सी बात है, this only you need when you do the financials reporting of the financial asset. Like the किसी investment में है, like आपका आपने investment किया हुआ है, shares buy किया हुआ है, or you have buy some debenture. Debentures you don't need to do because the debentures generally done at the historical cost. This you only do with the equities because equities price are fluctuating, so you need to match with the current market value. For that, whatever the unrealized profit or loss, you have to post into the income statement. Then only you can do bring it to the current market value. So this accounting in foreign currency, when we need this, this required when you are buying or selling from the foreign, or you have any subsidiaries or any of your associates company working in a different countries. In that case, you need to understand about the accounting of foreign currency, how you will do the accounting. Okay, so there is something called foreign translation and foreign uh, uh, exchange loss. I'll just come with the exact name. The exposure of the US corporations, the, ex, the exposure of the US corporation for the financial currency has expanded rapidly, and currently the US purchase and sales abroad amounting to 4 trillion per year. So conducting business abroad poses the multiple accounting changes, including these includes, which is what the changes of foreign currency also. This is one of the including these issues which are relevant for the CMA. What accounting of the sales made abroad to and denominated in foreign currency. First thing, the purchase made from abroad and denominated in foreign currency. The accounting of assets held abroad and valid of which is denominated in foreign currency. The liability held in abroad and the value of which is denominated in foreign currency. The accounting of foreign subsidiary which has to be consolidated in US corporation financial statement. So these kinds of transactions you have to do. Being a CM, you should know how the accounting treatment is done for these kinds of transactions. ठीक है जी. तो पहला बोलता है कि when the US corporation conduct the business abroad यानी buying selling, these transactions are usually denominated in the country, in the currency of the country where the transaction takes place. So when you do the buying and selling, these transactions are usually denominated in the currency of the country where the transaction took place. If you buy like in UAE, the normally your transaction will be the dirham. If you buy in US, your transaction will be in US dollar. Similarly, the asset and liability may be denominated in the foreign currency and would ultimately get settled in the currency. Ultimately get settled in that currency. However, the reporting purpose, the equivalent amount has to be shown in the US dollar. So in that case, when you buy the asset from the मान लो being a US company, you buy certain asset from the India. तो आप इंडिया से buy करते हो तो your denomination will be rupees, but when it comes to the settlement, maybe you will settle in US dollar. That kind of situation will be there. So there may be a difference in accounting standard and practice particular to the foreign currency, the foreign country in which the firm operations are conducted. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, yani SEC, requires the foreign registrants offering securities in the U.S. to conform to U.S. GAAP. So what is happening? Whatever the transactions, and if your companies are listed in SEC, you have to conform. You have to follow the US GAAP, either directly or by reconciliation. Whether you make your financial report by following the US GAAP, or you can make your financial reporting under IFRS, but you need to show the reconciliations between the IFRS and GAAP. There are certain items which is allowed in IFRS but not allowed in GAAP. So you need to show the reconciliation. Although this creates the comparability in the US capital market, it does not achieve the same for the investor wanting to invest in a foreign. So there is only one reason of reading all these things. Being a CMA, you should understand how the transactions has happened, what is the impact of तो जिस कंट्री में आप बाई करते हो या जो कंट्री आपके साथ सेल करता है, बेसिकली द सेटलिंग करेंसी वही होती है, बट यू नीड टू रिकॉर्ड इनटू द इक्विवेलेंट करेंसी ऑफ इन योर books. The other says that if your business is dealing with the US companies and it is registered with the SEC, you need to require submit your financials as per the US GAAP. If not, then you need to submit the reconciliation between the IFRS and all. There is something called financial exchange fluctuations. Okay, so translating the foreign financial statement to US dollar value is challenging because the exchange fluctuated based on the supply and demand of the particular currencies. These exchange rates are fluctuation are referred as the weakening or strengthening of the currencies. The most common type of the foreign transactions are the import or export of the goods or services, and export of the goods by the US company to the German customers would be conducted as foreign currency transactions. If the sale is denominated in euro and payment would be received in euro, these transactions will have to be translated to US dollar using the exchange rate between the euro and US. So FAS 52 set out these requirements for the foreign currency transactions. So all that at the date of transaction, each asset, liability, revenue, expenses, gain, losses arising from the transaction should be measured and recorded in the functional currency, usually the reporting currency using the exchange rate, the effect of that day. तो जिस दिन आपने ट्रांजेक्शन किया उसको अपने बुक्स में आप क्या करोगे, कन्वर्ट करके जिसमें आप रिपोर्टिंग करते हो, you need to record in that. Each balance sheet date recorded transaction like balance receivable or payable that are denominated in foreign currency shall be adjusted to the reflect the exchange rate on the balance sheet date. So it means what is happening, whatever the transactions happen, you have to record based on the transaction date. But you need, if you have a payable or receivable, you need to revalue. You need to do the revalue on the balance sheet date. That activity you need to do. So what is happened? Rough. There is a company called Rotaf Truckers export the 100 vehicle from the US to Germany for 25 million US dollar. The transaction is priced in euro but paid in dollar. Okay, so what is happening here? Who sell? Trucker exports the goods from US to Germany. So who is the seller? The seller is US. Who is the buyer? Buyer is the Germany. Okay, the transaction price in euro but paid in dollars. Now you receive the dollar. So what is happened? So transaction date spot price is how much? 1 to 1. There is no exchange difference loss. But when it comes to the settlement, you will get how much? You will get the 25 million US dollar because you are the exporter there. So you will get the money. When you get the money, you get the more. You will get the euro. When you get the settle, you are getting in the euro. You are getting 25 million euro. And you go for the exchange into the market, you will get 26 million. So somewhere 1.3 million you got the profit because of the exchange gain. Because of the exchange gain. So what is happened here? Your डॉलर डेप्रिशिएटेड अगेंस्ट द यूरो. आपका डॉलर क्या हो गया? डेप्रिशिएट हो गया क्योंकि 1 यूरो इज इक्वल टू 90, सॉरी $1 नाउ इक्विवेलेंट टू 95 यूरो. सो यू विल गेट द मोर यूरो हियर. 0.95 euro is more than the $1. So it means what happened? Now you are getting more dollar if you give less euro. What is the relation established here? You will give only 0.95 euro and now you will get $1. So your dollar is getting depreciated. Because fewer US are obtained from the dollar on the settlement than was quoted on the transaction say. This is good for the US company because the transactions price in the euro but paid in dollars. However, thus the US company received the same number of euro specified in the contract, but the euro were growth more in US dollar, so settlement date. So उसको क्या हो गया? US dollar got depreciated and their importer got benefited. The conversion is recorded. The convention is to record the transactions purchased on the transaction date and the using the export rate existing on that day. This payment is made on. When the payment is made, the likely fluctuation in the exchange rate will be caused as a gain or loss. This is treated as the operating income and operating expenses and recorded on the payment date in the income statement. So what is happening here? अगर आप यहाँ पे एक्सपोर्ट किया और आपका करेंसी कम हो गया, so you are benefited for 1.3 million. If you think as a opposite, you have purchased it in the euro and if you have to settle in the euro, so you will have loss of 1.315 and that would be treated as the operating loss. So now what is simple says that the transactions के डेट पे whatever be the transactions you need to record it, और पेमेंट डेट पे अगर कोई प्रॉफिट या लॉस होता है तो that to be considered as the operating income or operating loss. हाँ, नहीं इसमें सिंपल था ना. उसने बोला कि he has done some transaction. He did the sale of $1,000. Okay, for how much? 25 US dollar. Okay, but the transaction price in euro, यानी आज उसको यूरो में ही प्राइस बता दिया कि भाई ऐसा है 25 मिलियन यूरो का मैं आपको कार दे रहा हूं. 25 मिलियन यूरो का मैं आपको कार दे रहा हूं. अब नाउ यू नीड टू सेटल मी 25 मिलियन. जब उसने पेमेंट किया तो 25 मिलियन व्हेन यू गो टू द मार्केट एंड यू सेल इट, यू गॉट 1.3 मिलियन एक्स्ट्रा बिकॉज यूरो का प्राइस बढ़ चुका था. नाउ आई जस्ट मेक मोर इजी. अभी मैं इंडिया में हूं. अभी मान लो मैं इंडिया में हूं. अभी इंडिया में एक्सचेंज रेट यूएस का कितना चल रहा है? 75 चल रहा है. ठीक है. तो अभी मैंने कहा यूएस में मैंने एक सेल किया मान लो एक सर्विस सेल किया मैंने, सेल्स अ सर्विस, एक्सपोर्ट किया, ठीक है, एक्सपोर्ट किया मैंने उसे 750,000 का। इट मीन्स टेक्निकली आज के दिन हमने उसे कितने का सेल किया, 10,000 यूएस डॉलर का मैंने सेल किया। क्लियर है? अब 3 महीने के बाद, आफ्टर 3 मंथ्स, इफ उसने मेरे को कितना देना है, 1 लाख डॉलर मुझे भेजना है ना उसे, he will send me 1 lakh dollar. If I build him in the equivalent currency and asking $10,000, so he will give me after 3 months $10,000. Now the say price becomes 78. So how much is the gain for me on the part of fluctuation? मेरे लिए कितना फायदा हो जाएगा, 30,000 का। ये फायदा क्यों हुआ, क्योंकि मैं यहाँ पे हूँ क्या, एक्सपोर्टर, मैं यहाँ पे हूँ एक्सपोर्टर, and I'm sending the item to the outside country. बट अगर यही मुझे अगर देना होता, if I have to pay, then मेरे लिए जो कॉस्ट होता वो कुछ और ही होता in case of importer. अभी मैंने 10,000 यूएस डॉलर का माल इंपोर्ट किया था. Now after 3 months he will say that okay, give me 10,000 US dollar. It means I have to pay him how much? I have to pay him 780,000. तो मेरा क्या होता, 750,000 का तो एसेट मतलब सर्विस मैंने बाई कर ली थी, और 30,000 आई एम पेइंग जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्सचेंज लॉस. इट मीन्स if I am a importer, if depreciated means I have to pay more. If I am exporter, money depreciated, it means I will be the gainer. So that is simple, and that has to be reported as the operating income or operating loss. Now it is the second thing. What he is saying ke when the US company sells product abroad, now it is concluding, when the US company sells the product abroad, the transaction and the resulting account must be translated into the US using the exchange rate on that day. In case if the sale is on current credit resulting in account receivable, then the account receivable balance on the balance sheet date must be converted into the US dollar using the exchange rate. And the effect जो होगा क्या देना पड़ेगा, you need to give the effect on the balance sheet, and the same time आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, जो भी loss होगा या profit होगा, you need to bring into the income statement. अब there is a second situation is saying, when the US company purchase from abroad, the foreign currency transaction must be recorded at the spot rate of the effective on the transaction date. Now what has happened? अब as on the balance sheet date, you need to revalue, and whatever the profit and loss you need to record. और बैलेंस शीट में आपकी लाइबिलिटी को क्या करना पड़ेगा, या तो ओवर स्टेट या अंडर स्टेट करना पड़ेगा. यानी ऑल द बैलेंस शीट आइटम लाइक पेबल और रिसीवेबल you need to the revalue on the balance sheet date. So now what is here? बोला जर्नल एंट्री कैसे होगा. से इट इज द 16th December, the trading company sold merchandise to the German company for 20,000 euro. The indirect spot rate is 0.66 euro. Okay, 0.66 euro यानी पर डॉलर पे 0.66. So what has happened? You sold the asset. So it means what has happened? You need to convert into the US dollar. So what you did? AR to revenue or sale. Sale is how much? 33,000 हो गया. Okay. Now balance sheet date. What happened? The exchange rate becomes 0.665. Now again you need to do 20,000 divided by 665. So what is happened here? अब जो न्यू वैल्यू आके आया है, you need to do the first value here. So 20,000 divided by 0.66 first. तो पहला तो ये लिख लेंगे. सेकंड बोल रहा है कि आपका यानी अभी आपका क्या हो गया, so 660 no 665. So what is happened? Before your account receivable was 30,303. Now on the balance sheet your account receivable has reduced. So you have a loss of 227. So you need to reduce your account receivable. So account receivable is getting reduced by 228. So account receivable is reduced by 228. Now what happened when you did the settle? On that day you had a transaction of what? When you did the settlement, your transactions has happened how much? 0.6725. So 0.6725. It means what happened? Now again, at the date of settlement, you received 29,000. So you have an additional loss of 335. So you need to book the loss. Exchange loss again you need to book, because additionally you did not receive this money. So there is a total loss is how much? 228 plus 335. So total loss is how much? 335 and 228. So technically you can see that 30,000 you book your initial liability. When it's you receive the money, you receive 563 less. That is your exchange loss. So now if you want to see as a financial statement, so you can say that okay, 30,000 was the first 228 that is on the balance sheet date, and the additional 335 will be reported as on 31st December 2020 in the income statement. So it means basically you had a loss of somewhere around 500. So that you need to record. Okay. Income statement, na? Loss is part of income statement, na? Exchange loss is what? Income statement. Okay, keep it there as a OCI. No, it's not a translation. It's a transactional loss. Transaction loss. Sorry, translation loss when you have a subsidiary. It is a transaction loss. One is called translation, one is called the transaction. So this result is not because of the translation. This is because of the transaction. The translation is the only case when you have a subsidiary, and subsidiaries का जो asset liability if you are converting in your home currency or the functional currency, तो जो भी उसका profit and loss होता है, that is called the translation. That is not because of the any transaction. That is just because of the translation. Huh? It's a transaction. So there is another effect on the financial ratio. When the US firms has calculated the account as account receivable in the foreign currency and the dollar later weakened with respect to the, then the balance sheet show the exchanges gain, and the AR is larger and has a favorable effect on the short term liquidity for sure. बिकॉज आपका पैसा जैसे होगा, जैसे आपने सेल किया है और आपका पैसा वीक हो गया, इट मीन्स वो 75 रुपए जो दिरहम डॉलर था, नाउ इट्स बिकम 78. इसका मतलब आपका 30,000 का प्रॉफिट बढ़ जाएगा, एआर बढ़ जाएगा. और टेक्निकली व्हेन द एआर इंक्रीजेस योर current asset increases or your current ratio will improve. If the dollar strength with the report to the balance sheet show the exchange loss. अभी क्या होगा, अभी 75 का डॉलर अगर ये 70 पे आ गया, इसका मतलब जो आपने अपना 750,000 जो आपने रिसीवेबल रखा था, नाउ इट विल रिड्यूस टू 700,000. इन दैट केस आपका 50,000 का लॉस हो जाएगा और आपका क्या हो जाएगा, लिक्विडिटी रेशियो क्या हो जाएगा, अनफेवरेबल हो जाएगा. ठीक है, सेम अप्लाई होगा, मतलब वाइसे वर्सा अप्लाई हो जाएगा किसके ऊपर, पेबल के ऊपर. व्हेन देयर इज अ पेबल देयर इज अ वाइसे वर्सा. टू मिटिगेट द इफेक्ट ऑफ फ्लक्चुएशन इन द फॉरेन करेंसी, द कंपनी समटाइम्स डू हेज in their exposure through the purchase of forward contract options called the cash flow hedge for the accounting purpose. अब रहा बात hedge options जो है, हम लोग ऐसे भी इसमें सेक्शन बी में काफी डिटेल में पढ़ना है. तो दिस इज द ओनली वे यू कैन सेव योरसेल्फ from all these things. So you can do the hedging, you can go for the some forward or some option purchase. Now he is saying that accounting of foreign subsidiaries. So that question will be now answered here for you. When the foreign subsidiary does not keep its record in the parent's company currency, then the subsidiary company financial statement must be translated into the parent currency prior to the consolidation. The FAS statement 52 govern the accounting principle using the converting of the financial of the foreign subsidiary into the US dollar. For the foreign subsidiary, the firms required to identify the functional currency, maybe the foreign currency, as the currency of the primary environment in which the entity operate. अब इंडिया में होगा तो रुपया में, UAE में होगा तो दिरहम में. So there is the two methods permitting for the converting the financial statement into the US dollar based on the foreign entity's functional currency. The पहला होता है temporal methods. इसका मतलब होता है foreign currency in US dollar, the foreign currency are remeasured into the US dollar using these methods. The second is called the current rated methods. इसमें सिंपल सा होता है, इसमें जो भी आपका जिस दिन कंसोलिडेशन का डेट होता है आप उसके रेट से कन्वर्ट कर लेते हो. When the functional currency is the local currency of the foreign currency, the foreign transactions are translated using these methods. तो आप सिंपल ट्रांजेक्शन्स यही करते हो. इवन हम लोग की भी कंपनी जो है उसका सब्सिडरी रोचेस्टर में है यानी यूएस में है, जब हम लोग उसको क्या करते हैं कंसोलिडेट करते हैं तो हम लोग ये सेकंड मेथड करंट रेट मेथड यूज करते हैं. बिकॉज ये टेम्पोरल मेथड्स में क्या होगा, जिस दिन ट्रांजेक्शन होगा उस दिन जाके उसको चेंज करना पड़ता है. सो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ बिग एंड कॉम्प्लिकेटेड एक्सरसाइज. इसका तरीका सिंपल है. पहला क्या है, द फर्स्ट मेथड इज वेरी सिंपल. स्टेप इन कंसोलिडेटिंग इन फॉरेन सब्सिडरीज. पहला, modify the foreign financials as to conform to the US GAAP, which may require the numerous modification. यानी उसका जो financials बना हुआ है वो US के साथ पहले gap होना चाहिए. उसके बाद remeasures the trial balance into the functional currency using the temporal methods. वो हो सकता है. उसके बाद needed generally the translate financial from the functional to the reporting using the current rate method. स्टेप 3 में हो सकता है. और स्टेप 4 में बोला आफ्टर फाइनेंशियल हैज बीन कन्वर्टेड इनटू द रिपोर्टिंग करेंसी यूएस डॉलर, then the parent company prepare the worksheet elimination for the consolidating the foreign currency and parent company. अब जो दोनों के बीच में इंटर कंपनी ट्रांजैक्शंस रहेगा उसको क्या करेगा, उसको वो एलिमिनेट कर देगा और अपनी फाइनेंशियल्स कंसोलिडेटेड फाइनेंशियल्स को दिखा देगा. हो गया बात. अब IFRS और गैप में कुछ डिफरेंसेस है. यहाँ पर जब छोटे छोटे चीजों के बारे में जानना है तो सबसे पहले जान ले IFRS जो है उसको लाया किसने है, उसको लाया है IASB ने. तो बोला गया कि IASB यानी इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड बोर्ड जो है वो इज द रिस्पांसिबल फॉर द अप्रूवल ऑफ IFRS. IFRS स्टैंड फॉर इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग स्टैंडर्ड. वन ऑफ द प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ द IFRS इज टू ब्रिंग अबाउट द कन्वर्जेंस बिटवीन द नेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड एंड IFRS. तो IASB क्या करता है, they always try to match with the other countries general accounting standards so that सबसे कम reconciliations बने. So IASB are the working closely with FASB to harmonize the international with the GAAS. So FASB जो होता है वो किसका है, अपना US GAAP की बॉडी है. So now what is simple, one is called the principle based, the other is called rule based. So GAAP is like rule based ठीक है, तो ये पूरा का पूरा रूल्स एंड रिकॉग्निशंस के साथ काम करता है। ये आईएफआरएस प्रिंसिपल बेस है। तो प्रिंसिपल क्या होता है, वो जजमेंटल होता है, वहां पे प्रोफेशनल जजमेंट ज्यादा इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं। वहां पे देखा जाता है कि व्यू और उसकी मटेरियलिटी से उसको ज्यादातर जज करते हैं। दूसरा कहते हैं कि इन्वेंट्री, अनलाइक द यूएस गैप, आईएफआरएस डज नॉट परमिट द, आईएफआरएस में लीफो अलाउ नहीं किया जाता। तो पहला डिफरेंसेस है। दूसरा पीपीएनई को लेकर कुछ डिफरेंसेस है। तो पहला है कि अनलाइक यूएस गैप, आईएफआरएस अलाउज द revaluations model where the fixed assets are reported at their fair value on the balance sheet date and revaluation surplus goes to the accounted other comprehension, यानी OCI की तरह दिखा जाता है। ठीक है, बोला अनलाइक द यूएस गैप, आईएफआरएस अलाउ द रिवर्सल ऑफ इम्पेयरमेंट फॉर द हेल्ड ऑफ यूज ऑफ फिक्स एसेट। ठीक है, तो यूएस गैप में ये ऑप्शंस नहीं है, लेकिन आईएफआरएस में रिवर्सल्स का ऑप्शन है। अनलाइक यूएस गैप, आर&डी ऑलवेज एक्सपेंस, बट आईएफआरएस में क्या बोलते हैं, दो रिसर्च इज एन एक्सपेंसेस, डेवलपमेंट में बी कैपिटलाइज्ड इफ सर्टेन क्राइटेरिया इज देयर। तो रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट को आईएफआरएस क्या करता है, स्प्लिट कर देता है। रिसर्च को एक्सपेंस कर दो, लेकिन अगर कोई डेवलपमेंट हुआ तो उसको आप कैपिटलाइज कर सकते हो आफ्टर मीटिंग सर्टेन क्राइटेरिया। तो यहाँ पे जो दो तीन एग्जांपल्स हैं वो दो तीन आपको याद होने चाहिए, क्योंकि एग्जाम में बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सवाल नहीं आते इससे, क्योंकि यह पार्ट 1 में काफी डिटेल में पढ़ना है। ठीक है, दे जस्ट वांट टू चेक कि आपको समझ में क्या आया। तो ऑल टुगेदर इन द, क्या बोला, हाँ ये पार्ट 1 में काफी डिटेल पे है ना। So now I just want to tell you, this was the only small topic which was left as a specific topic rest। बाकी रेस्ट जो भी आपने किया हुआ है, अब आपको मेरे को सैटरडे से पहले यानी संडे आई एम गोइंग टू स्टार्ट सेक्शन, विच सेक्शन, कमाल है, सेक्शन डी। तो सेक्शन डी स्टार्ट होने से पहले ये सेक्शन ए के सारे सवाल आप एटलीस्ट एक बार कर ले भाई। ओके, आपके कोई सवाल है?